Welcome everyone to our Alfasoft online demo day, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Torgrim Sandvold, and I'm the product manager for statistics and data analysis tools here at the Norwegian office at Alfasoft. In the next webinar, we will be presenting MindManager, how to visualize your research with MindManager, and it will be given by Joel Averheim from MindManager, and myself and my colleague Emil Johannessen. But before we start, just a little housekeeping. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in the GoToWebinar panel on your right. We will try to answer them during the presentation, and hopefully we will have time for questions at the end. You will all be muted during the presentation to avoid any audio problems, and please note that we will be recording this webinar, and both the recording and questions from this session will be answered and made available to you afterwards. We will send you all an email with links to the recordings, the question and answers, and any related resources as soon as we have published them, hopefully by mid next week. With that, Joel, I think you are the first to start, so I will hand over the screen to you.
There we go. I can hear you, and you should be able to hear me, and now you should be able to see my screen.
Great. I was a bit anxious there for a few seconds, but I can see your screen and hear your voice perfectly. So you're ready to start. Good luck.
Thank you. Everything for the excitement, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't be too simple for you. Brilliant. Well, thank you, Torgrim. As mentioned, my name is Joel. I'm the manager of training and services for the EMEA region for MindManager. I will give you a quick overview of MindManager as such. I will also be helping out with questions in the end of the webinar. When I'm done with my walkthrough of the general aspects of the system, I will hand over to Torgrim, and he will give you more hands-on information of how MindManager will fit into your use case of gathering data and really tying knots together when it comes to whatever research that you're working on. This first section will take approximately 20 minutes, and after that, I will hand over to Torgrim. The background of MindManager starts in the early 90s. Our founder, Mike Jetter, was a software developer born and raised in Germany, and he was always fascinated about the pen and paper aspect of working with mind mapping techniques. And he had always dreamt about creating a perfect graphical interface for computers, so digitalizing a mind map. Unfortunately, Mike got leukemia, and whilst undergoing treatment at the leukemia isolation ward in Germany, I think that was in 1994, he was determined to leave behind a legacy. He was literally not certain if he would live out the year. He called MindManager the precious little gift to the world that he would leave behind. He created what he called MindMan 1.0 that later was rebranded to MindManager. And Michael and his wife Bettina Jetter co-founded MindManager in San Francisco in the US. Started out there for a year and then moved over to the world. Currently, MindManager is the leading mind mapping software globally with over 4 million users. Yes, I've written 3 million users here. It's actually 4 million. Ring the bell, right? But the background and the goal was always to help users to structure and analyze content, to bring clarity to plans, to work more efficient and really make fact-based decisions based on the information that you have collected in order to, and this is our flagship, to achieve the personal and organizational success. Then the challenges as we see them. I mean, in a software atmosphere like MindManagers, we work with everything from students to scientists to knowledge workers, project managers. We are like the Swiss Army knife of a software, which can be a challenge for us to pitch it. Where does MindManager fit in? But it's very handy for our users because they're not tied up by any boundaries on how to use the applications. But in order to drive the development of the software, we do constant surveys of our user groups. And in 2018, we saw a new trend, a new challenge in the user community. It was the information flood. Numerous of different types of softwares were in movement within any project that you were undertaking. This increased the need for numerous applications, increased complexity, and therefore undermining and making communication between teams harder. We could even see parallel projects in the same company using different software setups to achieve their goals. And you can only assume that alignment then becomes quite complex. Well, I'm not going to read this out loud for you, but I think you see the pain point here. I mean, 86% of all employees did not understand the strategy of the company. They knew what they were supposed to do, but not the overall goal. Now, looking into our core behind MindManager, we want to allow users to work more transparent and more intuitive within the teams, to be more flexible, efficient, and have the time to work analytically. Because this is usually where you compromise. You do all the things you need to do to be done, but the facts gathering of what you did right or wrong is always what you sort of compromise on if you're running out of time. And also, we would like our users to be able to work creatively. MindManager exists for exists for Windows, for Mac, for Teams, and for web, and MindManager Chromebook. So you could switch between any stations, open up your maps, and work them live regardless of the environment. The cornerstones of today's presentation will look at how to boost productivity, how to synthesize ideas and information, empower plans, projects, processes, research, you name it, and also how to collaborate and communicate your findings with the group surrounding you. When it comes to boosting productivity, it's always a challenge to know where to start. But we have created MindManager to be similar or to work similar as the Office package that I'm pretty certain that you know quite well by now. When we create a new map, it doesn't really matter where we start. We have a ton of different templates. We have the blank templates, as you see here, both hierarchical and non-hierarchical if you would like to create a flowchart. But we also have predefined professional templates where we give you a kickstart. MindManager also has a very wide range of trainings. We have the MindManager Starter Academy, a 5-session trainings on demand, free of charge online, and MindManager also has a built-in get started session or lesson session. So we do a lot to really help users leverage all the features and functions of the software, and that's what I do full time. Love my job, by the way. When you pick a design, you can always combine designs inside of the same map. What I'm showing you now is not a PowerPoint presentation. This is MindManager. I have just created a slideshow within MindManager, so all of these objects are actually live. I could just leave this presentation and continue mapping. So I could start by planning a radial map, and when I'm done with my brainstorming session, I could right-click this and say, I would like to convert this into a timeline. Or next to my radial map, I would like to build a org chart, or a timeline, or a concept map. And with the help of background objects, I can create any of these maps and just put objects in the background. So here you see a concept map with a swim lane chart in the background, creating a swim lane chart. So it's not rocket science, it just makes it very simple to get your information out there. This gives us, like I said, the Swiss Army knife that doesn't really put any boundaries on what we can create. In this example that I'm not going to go too deep into, you see a large variety. We have the standard radial map, we have technical documentation or gathering of info. We can do work breakdown structures, we can do, yeah, you name it. I said I wouldn't go too deep. I won't. I just continue. But the methodology is mind mapping. That's in our blood. So I'm not going to go into what the mind map is because I'm pretty sure you do know that already. But what MindManager is all about is taking the extra step into research and knowledge management and really collect it in one place. So looking at just a quick overview, Torgrim will take this in more detail, but for the sake of just making it simple, I have taken one part here where I say we have goals. We would like to insert icons. So with MindManager, you get a full icon set. You can import your own icons and you can rate your ideas or goals or whatever you have in your document. When you have rated your information, you will get a map index. So everything inserted into the map is available here. So imagine you've spent years and years on a study and you have a ton of icons and markers and tags and resources inserted, you can always right-click any marker either in the index or directly in the map and quick filter on it and find that information directly. When it comes to external information, use it with folders left and right in SharePoint, locally, on Dropbox, wherever, and finding all of that information and especially sharing it can be complicated. With MindManager, you can drag and drop either files and attaching them into the map or links from a web browser and dropping them directly into your map canvas. Then when a file is inserted, exactly like we had the index for the markers up here, we have an index for the elements. So we can quickly find all attachments or notes or comments that you have inserted into your research. MindManager also has the capability of doing calculations and working with properties, precisely like in Excel. And we wouldn't say that we want to replace Excel. I would say, on the contrary, we love Excel. Let's use that intelligence. We can import Excel content into the map and continue to elaborate on it. MindManager also has something called smart rules that allows the map to automate certain processes for you. So let's say we have a calculation here that the budget is based on a calculation of all the targets down here, and then we have an actual underneath. If an actual changes, so the budget goes from 106 to beneath 100%, the color here is changed by a smart rule. We also get a thumbs up icon into this into the map itself. Then when working with planning in MindManager, we have a full set of planning tools. We have task information. We can insert priorities, progress, start due date, resources, cost for the resources, general cost for a certain task. All of that is in. We also have a Gantt module built into MindManager, so we can plan our tasks here and see the flow of things. And we have a resource manager. If you would have costs related to an external resource or a consultant, you can always calculate based on the hours that you insert what the cost will be. And we can roll up information from these tasks. We can see here start and due for these tasks is the 19th of September until the 10th of October. We could do the same thing with costs, rolling it up. And we can fetch and gather multiple maps into a central dashboard simply by creating a new map and fetching other maps into it. MindManager, one of the cornerstones is the ability to angle information. If you have created a standard map, all you need to do to angle your info is to change the view from a map view to outline view to schedule view, icon view, and tag view. We can also see what maps are linked, and as I showed earlier, view the map in a Gantt view. Now, the outline view reminds you of what you would find in Word Outliner. So we have the map, and by clicking outline view, we see all the content top to bottom. If we do the same thing, but in schedule view, we get all our plans, and we can drag and drop them into the dates that we would like for a start date or for a due date. We can view it on weeks up until years. So just giving you the rough planning abilities to get started, and then I would fine tune it in Gantt in the end, to be fair. The icon view is really useful. Every time you create a new icon group, like here, we have the priorities. Priorities inserted into the map can then be viewed in the icon view. So I see all my priorities 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, based on, what should we call it, the Kanban view, pretty much. Same thing applies for the tags. So if I have a tag group, here it is, a Kanban group actually, then I see all my tagged topics, but now in a Kanban style view. And remember that I mentioned the smart rules. I could actually set the smart rules to insert these tags for me automatically based on the progress of the little pie chart here. So when it becomes 100% checked off, the done tag is automatically inserted. And why would I have both? Well, there are 100 different options for percentage, but there are only 3 here for the progress in the Kanban style. In the Gantt view, same thing. All you need is a start and a due date inserted into a task, and you will see them here, both based on tasks and on resources. When it comes, did I jump one? Yeah, slides. Slides is what I'm using, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but any map that you create, you can just drag content from your canvas and create different slides and just have a walkthrough mode like I'm showing you currently. So no need to jump over and create PowerPoints or any other software to show off your information. Filtering is essential for a mind map. So MindManager has a wide range of filters. We can show, fade, and hide information. These topics are identical. So here we filter and only show priority 1. We show but fade the non-matching topics. We fade number 1 and we hide number 1. But we can also combine them. We can use multiple triggers. So I could filter for priorities or progress, and together with fill colors or task information or topic styles or review information or fonts, anything can be filtered on. And you can save these filters any way you like. Now, working with MindManager is really the full scope. You can go from the brainstorming to the done project, or you can work with external softwares. When you say, well, I'm done planning, but I need to lift this out to more top enterprise software like Microsoft Projects. You wouldn't brainstorm in Microsoft Projects, but you might press the start button there when the planning is done. Well, we can export to projects. We could even import from projects and fine tune things and then push it back to projects. Or you can export or import from Excel, or you can fetch tasks from Outlook or SharePoint and resources from SharePoint. We're really in full sync with anything Office related. The use cases are wide with MindManager. I mean, I would say challenge me, anyone on this call, and I would find at least a couple of use cases where you would say, yeah, I love that. I would like to use this. And this is the challenge. We have so many, so I can't mention them all, but these 6, I would say, are the main use cases that we see. When it comes to collaboration in MindManager, MindManager has the ability to share its map via a web link to any other user. You can just publish the map, send out that link. He needs a browser and an internet connection. He can open up your map, download any attachments that you've inserted, and as soon as you've made a change, you just update the latest version of it. MindManager Snap, as you see here, is the ability to send content to a colleague in your business that also uses MindManager. You can simply take a topic and drag it into the Snap queue, like a mailbox, and send it to him, and he can drag it into his map and reuse your findings. As soon as you save your map on any cloud device, the map gets enabled for co-editing. So you and your fellow scientists would be able to log on to the same app and do a co-editing session and insert your findings. A brilliant software for collaboration during meetings, for example. We allow co-editing between any of our platforms, so no restrictions there. You could have a full enterprise software for, let's say, Windows or for Mac, and work with someone that has the more streamlined web version of MindManager, no restrictions. We do import and export to pretty much everything Office related. We import from some of our competitors, and we allow you to create special macros if you have special import needs that we can't solve with the standard layout. We do full sync and link with Outlook, SharePoint, and Excel. We do the map rollups that I mentioned. We can fetch info from other maps and display it as a central portfolio. We have an API with Zapier, and we can work with databases. And sharing is really simple. I mentioned publish, that you get the web link. It's a cloud-based feature. If you have high confidence or confidential content and you need to have it offline, we can do the same, but with an HTML5 export. So you get the file that can be opened in a browser locally. Those are some of the highlights with the software. I would say MindManager covers from stage 1 until the last step that you can come up with in whatever type of research or scenario that you can do. We really love to challenge ideas surrounding facts gathering and facts visualization. And anyone interested in a live demo themselves can just contact Alfasoft, and we'll set up a meeting with you guys and show you the big scope of MindManager. But that's pretty much it. All of you, I challenge you to download a free trial, 30 days, and see what you can do with MindManager. And with that, thank you for your attention, and I'll hand over to Torgrim.
Thank you, Joel. I'll switch screen to myself. Hopefully you can see it.
I can.
Oh, great. Okay, welcome. My name is, as said, Torgrim Sandvold. I'm the product manager here at the Norwegian office at Alfasoft. And in this demonstration, I will try to give you a quick crash course in the MindManager. So showing you the basic, but also the most used features in MindManager. And hopefully at the end, I will have time to show you a little glimpse into how I capture information. Let me see here. From a few different sources and organized it and use it or work with it in MindManager. I guess this is the most interesting part for you that are researchers that collect a lot of information from different sources and need to organize the information and structure it and then publish it as an article or paper at the end. So, and I did a little test here last night. I have much too much information. So if you have any questions or comments or tips for me, please don't hesitate to send me an email at torgrim@alfasoft.com. And since I will not have time to cover all of this, I've included in this mind map. I've also published it. As Joel said, there's a very fast and easy and useful feature to publish your maps. I use it a lot when we have meetings, so we all are on the same page. You find it here. So please go to alfasoft.click/visualize in your web browser, and you will have access to the whole map with all its links and resources. So you can have a look afterwards. With that, I tried to be a little quick. Actually, by mistake, the other company I work with as at the science department, they probably saw the product name MindManager and thought this is something scientific, and by mistake put it on my desk. So I have to learn it and manage it. So about 20 years ago, I guess that's when I started using mind mapping and was introduced to this process or system. And I've been mind mapping ever since. So as you can see, I use mind mapping both in my work and also in my personal life. So yeah, projects and tasks, to manage my projects and tasks at work. Yeah, and meetings, I get agendas, procedures, everything I have in my mind maps. I also use it a lot for writing, and nowadays that's blog articles, product descriptions, manuals, and course guides. So it's a really good tool to both brainstorm and plan and publish guides and articles from. And I guess what I like the most about MindManager is the visual overview you get of the information. It tends quickly to be very much information when you try to write about a topic or something. And the unique visual overview and the ease of structuring and changing stuff in MindManager is really what I like the most. I also have a branch here about personal knowledge management or information management, if you like. I'm not going to go deep into this. It's a very broad topic with much information. But basically, it's which system you use to capture information and how to retrieve it, to find it in a month, in a year, in 5 years, and how to use it, how to publish, how to make something useful of the information you have captured. I listed some people that has influenced me. You have Tony Buzan, who popularized mind mapping late 60s, beginning of 70s. And as Joe mentioned, Mike Jeter, who digitalized mind mapping, making the MindMan 1. So you could actually use mind mapping on your desktop, your computer. I also mentioned the product guru, David Allen, who's famous for his Getting Things Done system. What I get from him, I've taken a little bit here and there from different persons, but what's important for him, have one inbox where you collect all your information. He's talking much about tasks, but this also goes for references, for information also. And it took some years before I learned the importance of this, the review phase of this. So don't just put the information in a dump and forget about it. Have a system in place so you revisit your information and review it. That's really important. I also mentioned Tiago Forte. He's building a second brain course. So he has actually taken David Allen's theories and processes and focus on the reference part, the information, knowledge handling part of David Allen's system. And I also, Niklas Luhmann, he's, if you look him up at the Wikipedia, he's probably one of the most important social theorists of the 20th century, as it says here. And if you scroll a little bit down, you will see that in his lifetime, he published 70 books and nearly 400 papers. So he's really prolific. And he has this system, this Zettelkasten, to handle his information, his knowledge. And I can recommend highly the book, How to Take Smart Notes. You find it on Amazon and other bookstores. It's really much useful information to be found there. But yeah, I will try to be quick. The problem with the knowledge management is the information overflow. And at least I've discovered this. I was using Evernote as my capture, my database, if you will, my knowledge base. But what I did discover is that I just capture and then I never revisit the information ever again. So it's just a capture and forget. A problem is also that nowadays we have a lot of devices and a lot of apps on these devices. So information gets spread, and how do you handle them? And my solution, what I'm using today is, or the last years, is MindManager as my central place. And what I like about MindManager is that you don't just put it there, you capture and copy and paste it. It's like this MindManager structure, this hierarchy of information. You are in a way forced to connect it to your existing information. So all new ideas, you have to connect it to existing ideas. And this put it in context and makes it easier for your future self to find and use the information I have found. I also have created one folder on my computers. So there I store all my maps, and I also use a cloud storage service to sync it between my different devices. And you probably, and some of you have probably heard about Readwise. That's also an application and online service I highly recommend. This Readwise service makes it easy. It collects all the highlights, the annotation, your notes from different devices and apps into one central place where you can review them, and then I transfer them to my knowledge maps and work with them there. So that's just a short description of personal knowledge management. Please, as I said, use the Alfasoft.com Visualise link below to go any deeper, and click the links and find more information. I will jump over now to the crash course. But before I start, I have 3 tips for you. First is try to use your keyboard as much as you can and learn some useful shortcuts. Remember that when you sit in a class or a meeting, there's a lot of information coming to you, and you need to be pretty, the faster you are and the smoother you can enter this information in your map, the better. And it's just a few shortcuts to learn, and as you will see, and you are up and running. I also, if I open this My Maps panel on the right, please notice a lot of users I've seen are not aware of this My Maps panel in MindManager. I find it very useful. You have this panel on the top where you have your focus maps. So the maps you are working, the projects you are working on right now, you just add them here and remove them when you no more need it. And also this panel on the bottom where you can link to folders on your system. And whenever you store a new map in one of these folders, it will automatically pop up in here. So you don't have to do anything, that will pop up. So it's a very useful feature in MindManager. Also, as I said, try to use one folder where you store all your maps and resources. So I have decided on one folder on my system, and I also set up MindManager to reference this folder for everything I do. So this make it easy if I need to move it to a new computer or system, or sync it or make a backup of. I just take a backup of the folder with all these subfolders and files and stuff, and I have everything. Okay, how to mind map. So here is my crash course. I can publish this afterwards to you. As you can see, there's not many shortcuts you have to learn to get up and running with mind mapping in MindManager. It's the insert key, the enter key, the arrow keys, and then for fetching information from external sources, you have the Control-Shift-K or Control-K you can also use. That's a shortcut used in Excel, Word, and a lot of other applications, so you probably know this, hopefully. And you also have Control-Shift-H if you want to attach a document or something to your map. And the last one, Control-T, T for text, that's the built-in word processor in MindManager. You see it pops up. And please remember, if you press Control-T, when you finish writing, you are back and can add new topics to your map. So just to show you how I make this, first I just create a new map in MindManager. And please note the central topic is already selected for you. You don't have to click it or anything. You can just start writing like this. When you're finished with the text in the topic, just hit Enter key on your keyboard and you can continue inserting new topics. And as I said, if I press the Insert key, I will insert a topic below or a subtopic below the level I'm at right now. So here I can write topics and subtopics, hit the Enter key, and then again the Insert key. So Insert key for inserting subtopics, Enter to finished, and then the Enter key to insert topics below the current key, like that. And to navigate your mind map, you can of course use your mouse, and that's probably best if it's a large complex map, but I like to use the arrow keys to navigate like this. And you see if I left, right, up and down, it's very fast and easy to navigate with the arrow keys. Then we have links and attachments. Sorry. If I press the Insert key again, so if you take links, I can link to a web page. And sorry, I have the panel here on the right that is a little bit disturbing, like this. as I said, Control-Shift key or Control key if you just want one topic, one link to it, and then just enter or copy paste the link you want to insert into your map. And please note also, MindManager will actually fetch the title of the page, so the New York Times here. Hit the OK key, and then you have it in your map like this. And also for links and folders and maps, just to show you, Control K again. It's not just web pages or files on your computer. You can also link to folders on your computer and also to other mind maps. And please note, if you link to other mind maps, you can actually link to a specific topic in that mind map. So there's lots of linking features in MindManager. For attachments, it's Control-Shift-H. So I can just Control-Shift-H on my keyboard, and then just look up whatever attachment you would like to this. I don't think I can just attach another mind map here like this. And then probably the most important, if you are writing, using MindManager as a writing tool for publishing articles and stuff, notes in MindManager, Control plus T. So this is probably one of the shortcuts I use the most. So it's just entering a topic, hit the Control T, and the note panel will pop up in MindManager. Here I can write some text. And when you're finished, please remember, instead of going back with the mouse and stuff, just hit Control T once again, and you're back and can continue with your mind map. And also, as a last tip here, just click and drag to organize. I will change this so we get the right map instead, like this. And this also is, as I said, one of the most useful features, because you get a lot of information fast, really, these days. And the ability to just select topics, drag branches and topics around and rearrange everything is really like what I like when I'm working with my information. And do an example here. For instance, I don't like this organization of this information, so I instead want topics, links, attachments, and navigation like this. To rearrange this, I just select, click drag or control click, and as you can see, when I drag them, you can actually see visually where they end up, like this. And when I release my mouse key, it becomes part of this branch. So with just a few click and drags here, I have completely, and this, let's put that in topics. I have completely changed the structure of the same information really in my map. So I hope you see by just using these 5 shortcuts, insert, enter, arrow keys, Control-Shift-K, Control-Shift-H, and Control-T, you basically you're up and running. I can get started mind mapping right away. So, and as I said, these feature when I'm researching and writing is probably 90% of what I use really It's just a matter of gathering information, organizing it, and publishing it. And just to show you, there are a lot of other visual markings and features in MindManager. But my advice is to do this afterwards. The most important thing is to get the information in, structure it, and get it. And then afterwards, when you have time, you can use, for instance, boundary callouts, relationship lines. And as you can see, you can add tasks. You have different views, and there's a lot of things. You can tag your information, use custom properties, and have alerts and stuff. So a lot of features in MindManager for styling your document. Then I will also, so let me have a look at the clock. It's ticking. I will try to give you a little glimpse of how this capture process, how I do it in MindManager, and hopefully I have time also to actually publish something. So what I will do, I will just copy this as resources to my new map. So as an example, let's say I want to research personal knowledge management. I don't know if it's me being old, but I like the right map structure. I think I use the full structure of my map a lot too, but when I'm writing, I like the right map structure. It's more like parts and chapters and sections. It's more traditional, so it's easy for me to see how this turns out in the actual published document at the end. So I like to change this from the default map to right map when I do information gathering. And I also like to add a floating topic at the right here, where I add all my resources. So these are resources like videos, references, and stuff. So I have access to it in my actual map, but this on the right side, this is actual writing. So at the end, hopefully this will come out as a finished article or a guide or whatever. But still, I have access on the left here on all my resources that I need. So to start off this personal knowledge management research or capturing process, I would we can start with this Wikipedia article about it. And here I will probably find a definition. So this is the manual way of doing it. Just having the source on the right, in my case, and the map on the left, and copy pasting, elaboration, rewriting and stuff, and adding it to your knowledge map. So in this case, I will just copy this. Control C, and then I add. So I press insert key and definition, and just paste it in like this. So I can just quickly support work activities, probably important too. So basically I just go through this and capture the information that is useful for or of interest to me. Let's take this one. And we can also add this just to have some information about this. Models. Yeah, I just take this for now. But I hope you see the process here. I worked in tandem with my map and also the source, and then capture information and put it in context in my map. And please note, I like also just to start off, just add information, add the topics. You can rearrange later. So I like the information to speak, to decide the structure, and not have too many hypotheses or structure beforehand. So depending on what information you find, the structure will grow out of it in a way, if you know. So so this is the manual way of doing it.
Torgrim, whilst you're on this topic, I think it would be, when you have the web browser open, just grab a couple of links from the Wikipedia page and drop them, because then you get the relation to where it's from as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joel. I was intended to do that afterwards, but
sorry.
Yeah, but also the usual process for me for doing it is creating a draft mind map for this article, and then structuring.
I meant when you were in the text. Every blue text in the entire Wikipedia page can just be dragged and dropped into the map.
Like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm thinking more like just adding the link to these. These topics. So what I'm in effect doing, I'm just selecting the topics, Control K, as you learn in the crash course, and then adding a link to these topics. I can always find back to the original source. It's very easy to do in MindManager, as you can see. Also, just to also show you, as I said, I use Readwise, so I have readers and reading later apps and stuff, where if I find an interesting article, I highlight and annotate it in that app, and then it automatically gets transferred and synced with my Readwise account. And so this is the original article on the right. I go back to here. I think I have to do this faster. So in this case, sorry, I don't want it in MindManager. I open it in my web browser. In this case, I have just captured the whole article and transferred it to my Read It Later app, which is Instapaper. There's different apps for this, Pocket and stuff. And as you can see, I have highlighted some of the most interesting stuff here. I just started it. And what's a very neat feature with Readwise is that I can also structure my information right here. So the headings, I can add the H1 tag or H2 for heading 2 and stuff. And then I go back here. We can look, I would like to open it in the web browser too. As you can see here is the highlights and annotation from this article in Readwise. And then I export it. Let me see if I had it. Yeah, I can do a quick export just to show you the process. So I take the article, export all the highlights. Let's see if it, for some reason, it won't do it. It's just a little bit slow. So, and this is the markdown. There's many formats here. I open it, and then I'm using Typora here for markdown, but I'm just using it to export this as a Word document like this. Then I can go to my map again, to MindManager. Let me see. And I can import the document. Sorry. It's a very nice feature with MindManager. As Joel demonstrated, this has a lot of integrations and compatibility with the Office and other applications. So in this case, I just open it I'm a little bit unsure where my, and there you go. As you can see, I get the structure since I've tagged the information when I highlighted it. And it's easy for me to, yeah, now I can structure, rewrite, and organize, and then just copy it to my knowledge map, the personal knowledge map, like this. And also here, just a tip, I see the clock is ringing, sorry. For you EndNote and Reference Managers users. So I actually have this article in my EndNote library. Let me search it up like this. If you want to reference this, you can also do that. So in this case, I just right-click the reference in my library, EndNote library, and copy it. Go back to my map. Just let me close that. And then I, for instance, either I can reference this directly in the text, like so, or I can actually, and this is a little tip for you, you can actually also, if you just link to it and insert the reference from EndNote in the link, you will also get it referenced at the end, if so needed. So both directly in the text, which is most used, I guess, but also as a link in the reference. And just to end this, sorry that time is ticking, I will try to also show you. So there's a lot of work, of course, with organizing, adding all this information, but when you're finished, please note that you can export your finished map to Microsoft Word. You have a lot of options here for what information to add. If you want, you can add task information, properties and stuff. I will just leave them out, but I need my notes and my links, my references, so I will keep them. Yeah, and we can take it just basic here, no numbering, and I will use the default Word template here, export it. And of course, this will look different when I work with it and added the full text and stuff. But you end up with a Word document like this, with all the headings, the styling in Word, as you would expect. And also, please, since I also added these references from EndNote, if you're using EndNote, just switch to EndNote, update the document in the style you would like, click Update Citations, and you will generate a reference list, and it will also be formatted in this style in the final Word document. Ooh, that was short, Joel and Emil. I think I will end there.
Brilliant. Well done.
Really?
I have one thing to add. One thing to add that we covered, My Maps, your button up to the right side, that's not a standard feature, but needs to be activated in File and Options in MindManager. So for those of you who have downloaded a trial of MindManager and would like to look at My Maps, the folder option in top right, you need to activate that.
Great, thank you for the tip, Joel.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, there are some questions here. This is a licensing question, I guess. I presume not all versions of MindManager, Windows, Mac, and so on contains all the functions, and that the Windows version is the most comprehensive. Is that correct?
That is correct. So features and functions don't differ much between Mac and Windows. Obviously, it's two different platforms and are not identical. We can't build them identically. When it comes to the Teams, web, and Chromebook version. That's like Office 365. When you use that online, you have less features. So we don't have all features up there, but for the installed versions, Windows is the primary 100% features and functions. Mac is not short behind, but web are lacking some of the features. For example, Gantt, because Gantt is an add-in for MindManager. Obviously, we're building on those constantly, so fingers crossed that everything will follow.
Great, thank you, Joel, for the input. Emil, I see the clock is ticking.
Yeah, the clock is ticking, but I can be fast. We have a special offer for our Nordic customers, valid until the end of May 22. It's 10% off for the professional subscription for single users, and 15% discount on the enterprise subscription. And then you also get 1 hour free training with Maestro Joel here. You need to use the reference ODD 2022 on the order.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I guess getting a course from Joel, that's worth it.
I will post, thank you, well, no pressure, but I will post a couple of maps here in the chat. So anyone looking at, well, can all users see each other's questions, or are they for organizers only?
It's for organizers only.
Okay, then I'm not posting that, but in a follow-up email, we'll make sure to include some published maps. I have a neurology map, which is really cool, where we draw out the neurosystem, and I also made a genetics map of the banana fly's genome, where we map it out and visualize that. Not classical mind mapping, but really a good use case for MindManager. So that and other maps will be shared later on. Stay tuned.
Great, thank you, Joe. I think we have to end there, and I'm really sorry. I would like to show you also how to work with PDFs and books. It's really, really nice. I read my books on Kindle, and being able to export all my highlights directly into a MindManager is gold. So, but that will be for another case, another time. Okay, I think I will need to end this. Thank you again, Joe and Emil.
Thank you so much.